Hey buddy, in this video, I'm going to show you how to get 100% open rates with your cold emails. Just kidding. That's impossible, of course. But what I am going to teach you in this video is how to write the best cold email subject lines, give you top tips and examples. So I haven't really done a comprehensive guide on subject lines. I've talked about them in the past. I've done some training and whatnot, but they're one of those things that I just haven't really spent the time to give everybody some actual best practices. Okay. So with all these Notion style trainings that I do, the link is in the description. So feel free to check this out. You can make a copy of this. All right, save it for your archives. So if you watch this video, what's in it for you? If you follow what I'm going to show you in the tips, then I'm going to guarantee that you can significantly increase your email open rates and your overall cold email success. Okay, but that being said, here's a little warning. I use open rates very loosely because, as some of you might know, open rate tracking is vastly dependent on who you're actually emailing, okay, and what email provider that they're actually using. All right, so I have a different video about how open rates are impacted by email provider. So that's a topic for a different day that I've already done. All right, so what does this mean for you? If you can master the art of subject lines, you're going to get better and faster results with your cold emails. Okay, you're going to be able to connect with your prospects more effectively and get them to respond more promptly. All right, you can make more money by increasing your email open rates. All right, with better subject lines. And higher open rates lead to more conversions, more conversations, more revenue for your business, so on and so forth. And you'll become more successful with your email outreach efforts. All right, and you're going to feel more confident knowing that your emails are getting noticed and read. All right, and then ultimately you can master the cold email challenge, setting a solid foundation to do more channels, because with getting really good results with cold outreach and any sort of outreach, doing more channels is always better than doing less channels. Okay, so if that sounds cool, let's dive in. If you are not familiar with me, I'll give you a quick update on who I am. I'm the founder and CEO of Uptix, and over the years, I've helped tens of thousands of people with their sales and outreach, okay, and over 3,000 customers improve their sales with better strategies. I'm also a 6-time award-winning sales expert. My master franchise business that I had back in the day, a company called Sculpture Hospitality, won a lot of awards, grow that business really fast. That led me to building a 7-figure sales agency. Okay, so I've sent millions of cold emails. My content has reached millions of viewers. All right, and I've helped countless of individuals and businesses get better results with outreach. But that's enough about me. Let's dive into how you can write the best cold email subject lines. First of all, starting with why they matter. Okay, the importance of subject lines are that it's the first impression of your email. And I always talk about emails in terms of getting your prospects to make micro commitments. Okay, what is a micro commitment? It's just getting them to take a tiny little step, lead them to the next little thing. Okay, the first step is always email deliverability. Let's assume that we're in the inbox. Okay, the next step is getting them to open your email, and the first thing they're going to see is your subject line. Okay, and that's your first impression. So a great subject line can make the difference between your email being opened or ignored. If your email isn't opened, it's useless to send cold emails. Okay, so if it doesn't get open, deliverability first, subject line second, then it's useless to send your emails. Okay, 47% of email recipients open an email based solely on the subject line. That's almost half. Okay, so if almost half of your results once you're in the inbox are dependent on your subject lines, then if you're not paying attention to how you're actually writing subject lines, you're really not going to be successful. Okay, and I see a lot of people doing this wrong with coaching that I give some of our customers. Okay, and just imagine you're walking down a street, you see two stores. One has a flashy, inviting sign, and the other one has a plain and dull sign. Which one are you more likely to walk into? The plain and dull one or the flashy one? That's kind of like what your subject line is. Okay, you're going to walk into one that grabs the attention more. All right, so what are the key elements of an effective subject line? Let's get into that. The first is brevity. Okay, so what you want to do with your subject lines is you want to aim for 5 words or less. You do not want it to make it like a whole sentence. Okay, we've actually ran some analytics on this, and I'd love to, in the future, we'll probably set up ongoing analytics for this kind of stuff, but our stats show that your open rates are vastly dependent on the length of your subject lines. Okay, so shorter often means higher subject line or higher open rates, excuse me. Okay, And just think about it. People are busy, their inboxes are crowded, right? And if you have a longer subject line, it often looks like a marketing email. And with cold emails, you don't really want it to look like a marketing email, right? You want it to look like a personal email. That's the goal of it. All right, you need to capture their attention very quickly. And think about how you scroll through your own emails. Aren't you more likely to click on something that's short rather than something that's really long? That really long one, again, is probably going to trigger something, maybe it's even subconscious in your brain, that it's a marketing email. Okay, so we want to avoid that. The next thing, a key element here is clarity. So make sure your subject line clearly reflects what's inside of the email. Okay, you want to have some sort of connection, all right, to what's actually inside of it. Nobody likes to feel tricked, okay? So we don't want to bait and switch people, all right? But that being said, we do want to be crafty, okay? We kind of toe the line, right? Cold emails we're kind of toeing the line, we're getting attention. So we don't want to dupe people, we don't want to trick them, but we do want to be crafty. And I'm going to show you some examples in just a little bit. Okay, here's an example. If your subject line says exclusive discount inside, just make sure there's actually a discount inside. Now, you don't want to use a subject line like this for cold email, of course. That's more of a marketing style, but I just want to give you an example here. Okay, just don't bait and switch. Actually make sure whatever you say is actually inside the email. The next one, personalization. Personalization can help and hurt with your cold emails. Okay, first of all, the reason why it can hurt is that it can often look like an automated email. So a lot of marketing emails oftentimes will put in like your name and say like, Patrick, check out this blog or whatever, right? And it's kind of a trigger that it's, a mail merge. You're just merging a field from your CRM or your tool into it, right? And so it seems like it's better, but apparently, and I'm not 100% positive here on this, there's research showing that having personalization in the subject lines can increase the open rates by 20%. I would use this with caution. I just don't like to use first names and subject lines in general. All right. So if you want to use them, I will show you some frameworks and how to use them in a sales application. All right. For cold outreach. So you're not sounding like a marketer. All right. So those are our key elements. Now let's dive into some best practices for crafting subject lines. First is A/B testing. All right. Always test multiple versions of your subject lines to see which ones are performing better. And it's oftentimes hard to kind of tell which ones perform better because people oftentimes make very minute changes with A/B testing, and sometimes it can make a difference, but usually you want to test different frameworks altogether. And I will show you that again coming up in just a little bit. Just don't assume what you know or that you'll know works best, okay? Always test with A/B testing. All right, sometimes a small tweak can make a big difference. And I'll show you some of those small tweaks, but a bigger difference is going to be totally different frameworks. All right, for example, if you try testing a subject line that says increase your sales by 30% versus boost your sales by 30%, you might get a different result. You could. Now, this is more advanced next level. So I'm going to show you down below in just a little bit when I get into the actual examples on how to use A/B testing against vastly different variations. Then what you want to do is then you want to make incremental changes once you have subject lines that actually convert. All right, the next best practice, avoiding spam triggers. So always stay away from things that can trigger spam filters. All right, so some of the things that can do that is using all caps, using excessive punctuation, and using trigger words like free or guarantee. There's a lot of spam trigger words out there. That's not a training. This isn't a training on spam trigger words, but you want to avoid spam trigger words. All right, these are going to be red flags for the spam filter, and if your email goes into spam, you're going to have basically zero chance of getting your email opened. Yes, I know there's some of you out there that think, I check my spam folder once in a while. Yeah, I had somebody try to convince me one time that don't underestimate the power of the spam folder. Like, okay, are you going in and checking your spam folder every day obsessively like you do with your inbox? Probably not. So let's not err on that side of, history on thinking that the spam folder is going to get you any sort of result. It's not. Okay, so we want to avoid that. All right, focus on creating subject lines that sound natural and conversational, especially in sales, okay? And that's ultimately going to help you avoid spam trigger words as well. Consistency with your email content, okay? I kind of mentioned this earlier. Don't mislead your recipients. We can get crafty, but we don't want to mislead recipients. So what you want to do is you want to match your subject line to your email content. Okay, and it could just be a subtle connection. All right, but you want the subject line to match the content of the email. All right, this is going to help you build consistency and a little bit of trust, even if it's micro trust, right? Micro commitments lead to micro trust, and micro trust leads to macro events like people actually responding, right? That's a macro event inside of your cold emails. You want kind of those things to actually take place with your stats and your tracking, those things you can actually pay attention to. All right. So we don't want to use any sort of bait and switch, and make sure that you have the right expectations. All right. So if your subject line promises something, make sure the email delivers on the promise, the body of the email. All right. Now let's get into some types of effective subject lines. This one's by far my favorite. I'll go over a few other ones. These are a little bit more marketing style, but like this is by far my favorite one, problem and curiosity inducing. So what we want to do is we want to give your prospect a compelling reason to open. All right, how do we do that? One of the ways we can do that is kind of make them scratch their head a little bit. And the way we can make them scratch their head a little bit is make it about something in their day-to-day work or life that relates to them, okay? And you want to tie that in with the topic and how you're reaching out to them. So I'll show you how I do it with ours and how I relate those and make it correlate between what they actually do in their day-to-day. All right, so I'll show you that in the examples coming up in just a second. All right, but just make sure again that you deliver on the intrigue you create, or you're going to risk annoying your reader, your prospects. A couple other things you can do with your subject lines. You can do benefit oriented. Again, I like problem-based subject lines better for outreach, but A/B test this, okay? You can do an A/B test or A through Z test, right? You can have one problem, kind of curiosity-inducing subject line. You could do a benefit-based subject line, all right? And see which one wins. In my experience, typically it's the problem and curiosity-inducing ones, okay? But a benefit-oriented subject line can also, appeal to a different type of audience who maybe resonates more with benefits versus problems. Although people do respond to problems usually a little bit more, but you could gain a little bit of trust. It could, pique their curiosity in a different way than a problem-based. Okay, be direct and to the point. At the end of the day, almost everyone's looking for ways to improve their results. So highlight how you can do that. One way I might do it is saying increase your sales by 37%. Okay, it's a benefit based, and I'm actually being very specific. All right. In the body of the email, of course, then we would just want to make sure that it matches, right? So we might want to tell them kind of how we do that. All right. You could do a question based subject line. All right. Ask an engaging question. Make it, just of course, like make them pause and think about their situation here. All right. If your question resonates with their problem, they're going to be more likely to open the email because they want to find a solution. So let's think about that for a second. You kind of need to understand your prospect and what problems that they're going through so that you know how to position your solution to solve that problem. Okay, so make sure to do your research. I mean, you should know your prospects pretty well, but if you don't, go use ChatGPT. All right, go try to do a little bit of research. Go interview some people. All right, ask some people online. All right, a lot of ways that you can get ideas of problems that people face as it relates to your offer. All right, urgency and scarcity. I don't love this one. It's a little bit more of a marketing play, but some people, I have some customers that use offer-based cold emails, okay, with particular products and this kind of stuff. It's usually product focused, but you could use like a limited time offer type email to create a sense of urgency or scarcity that could prompt them to act quickly. You normally really need to have your ICP figured out, and this is normally a productized thing. So maybe you're selling a lower ticket product. That's what this would work for. So use this sparingly. I probably wouldn't do this with cold emails where it's a service or anything like that, or really even probably not even a software because they're not even really educated on your offer. So you got to be very careful with this. All right. Now let's get into some actual examples here of cold email subject lines. All right, so these are going to be real world examples. I'm going to show you some that we've actually used in the past and maybe we are still using. Okay, so here's one framework: topic and then issue. So you're going to kind of insert what the topic you're reaching out to, and then you can literally just say like the word issue or even problem. All right, so let me show you some examples. So we've actually used this where literally the subject line said outreach issue. That was the subject line. All right, now we use that and target it towards somebody who cares about outreach in a company. So when I said before that you want to tie the subject line to what somebody cares about, you actually want this word to be meaningful to your prospect, okay? And then of course this word also should then link to the body of the email, so it's not bait and switch. Okay? It's a little bit, this is crafty, right? So if you're reaching out to, let's just say for me, let's say we're reaching out to, VPs of sales enablement or, directors of sales, in organizations who we know are doing outbound or outreach, right? They're responsible for that. When we say outreach issue, it might make one, again, we don't want to be bait and switch, but it's going to make them think maybe there's an issue or something, right? But we want to tie it to the body of the email so that it's not totally bait and switch. So we want it to be meaningful to them. We want it to grab their attention, okay? So one of the ways you can do that is by using the word issue or problem, okay? You don't want to use both at the same time. You can use one or the other, and if you're using Spintax, you should use both. That's going to be one of my other tips coming up. Another example, super simple, sales issue, okay? I'd want to use this when I'm targeting somebody who cares about sales in a company. I, of course, wouldn't want to send this to HR manager or something, right? So you need to, of course, take these ideas and put them into your use case, right? Another one, client issue. Same thing. We want to target this to people who might care about clients, okay? Like for us, for instance, like recruiters, right? They're a good target for us, and they have clients, all right? But now, this can be a little bit bait and switch, and we do get some replies to these like, oh, I thought there was an issue with the client. So you don't want to totally bait and switch where like everybody's being like, wow, like I thought that I had a problem with the client. But, if a small percentage of your leads are replying that way, a very small percentage, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. That means we're getting attention. So we want to toe the line a little bit, right? So we want to be crafty, not totally bait and switch. But when we approach them with the email body with a subject line like this, it's going to be about helping them generate clients in some sort of capacity. Okay. Next one, develop. This one could be this is a different example. So these ones were related to how we might do it. This might be, let's say you're a software development company. All right. You might say development issue, but you would want to use this subject line maybe to like a CTO. All right. Excuse me. I had a little tickle in my throat. My girls have been sick the last couple days, so I hope I'm not getting sick. All right. So yeah, you could target this to somebody who cares about development. All right. And again, it's crafty. All right. We want to tie it to the actual body, but this is going to stand out. Maybe you're selling marketing services and you're building websites. You could reach out to somebody and say website issue. All right. So we want to get them to potentially think there might be an issue without totally being bait and switch. But again, your body content, and here's how you know I'm not using, I had a little typo there. So, right, we don't want it to be bait and switch, so your email actually needs to be about potentially an issue with their website. So maybe your marketing company and, you focus on website loading speed, right? Something like that. Okay, so I can't hammer home on this enough, is you want to tie this to something with the body of your email, along with it being meaningful to the person you're actually reaching out to. Okay, so that's one framework. Another one could be the opposite. It could be a benefit focused, right? Outreach solution, outreach fix. You could swap these words out, right? So I highlighted it here, I guess. But here I said, you could use issue, you could use problem. You might want to say solution. Now, this probably isn't going to get as good of an open rate, to be honest with you, but there's less of a chance. And I don't feel like this is totally bait and switch. This is where we're towing the line, right? It's kind of a gray area. But there's less of a chance that someone's going to go like, oh, I might have a problem. I might have an issue, right? Which is like kind of alarming. Could be alerting. Could be like a sense of urgency, right? So this is going to create more of a sense of urgency. This one, not so much. All right, it's benefit based. But you might want to test it anyway. So these are all the same subject lines except, using some sort of benefit base. Now, you need to use the word solution. You can use some other benefit solution. All right. Now, another framework is to use either a problem or solution base. So you insert your topic, use either issue or solution or problem, of course. And then if you want to do personalization, I would maybe use the company name that you're targeting. So it could be like, sales solution for upticks, right? Outreach problem for upticks. So it's a level of personalization, right? So they know it's intended for them, but these personalizations aren't real. I mean, people know that you're just automating anyway, but it's another framework, okay? But it's all the same framework except we're just adding for company. Now, keep in mind the length of your subject line does matter, and some companies have really long subject or really long company names, okay? So you might want to be cognizant of that, but we can't really get much shorter than this, right? It's only 3 words. It's like, 2 words and then whatever this style of word is. I'm not good with English, all right? At least grammatically English. The next one. So I talked about how you could use personalization. Okay, so here's some frameworks. So you could say their first name and then use like either a slash, a plus, a dash in your first name. So this is a way that you could use personalization as opposed to like a marketing style personalization where you might say, Patrick, comma, have you noticed this sales issue, right? Like that's going to sound like more of a marketing thing where this is going to be more personal kind of relationship building. Other ways, you could use their first and last name. You could use your first and last name. Okay, you could use their first name and your company name. You could use their first, last name, and your company name. You could use their company name with your company name. Okay, there's a million different frameworks and subjects to make this thing work. The most important things are to keep it short and make it meaningful to the prospect, ideally with their day-to-day work. Now, if you wanted to A/B test, let me collapse these for a second here. What I would recommend doing is running different tests. And if you're using a tool like Upticks, we can do A through Z testing. So you could have one email that follows this framework, one email that follows this, one email that follows this, one email that follows this, and then benchmark them against each other. And then if you find a winner, let's just say the winner is this for some reason, just so I can make my next point. Let's say the winner is this. Then you might want to get in and start A/B testing this one against this one, against this one, against this one. But this is like next level. Okay, most people don't get to this level. It's usually like this is the way you want to start. So you want to make them drastically different to start. All right. So those are some examples. Let's go into some common mistakes to avoid. Clickbait. Although we're going to toe the line, we don't want to be totally clickbaity. All right. So misleading subject lines can get clicks, but they can also damage your credibility. So if you're getting too many complaints, right? And I don't know your ideal customer profile, so I don't know how they're going to respond to things like that. If they don't really like outreach to begin with, then and if you're sending kind of clickbaity subject lines, then they're probably going to get pissed off, okay? And you're going to get a lot of negative replies. Okay? So again, we want to toe the line, but you got to adapt it to your personas. All right, you don't want to damage your credibility in the long run just for a click, okay? So if you're getting too many complaints, then scale back on the clickbaitiness of it or the craftiness of it, as I would like to say. If someone feels tricked into opening your emails, they're going to be less likely to trust you in the future, meaning they're probably not going to reply to you, meaning you're probably not going to get a meeting with them, right? Meaning you're probably not going to get a customer. All right. So again, be crafty, but not completely misleading. Tie the body of that or that subject line to the body of your email. Okay. So example, this might be if your subject line says you've won a prize, but the email is a sales pitch, you're going to lose credibility. Now, this is a drastic example here. And you do not want to, of course, send a subject line or use a subject line with, you've won a prize. I'm just illustrating a point here, right? You don't want to use a bait and switch where like you've won a prize and then the email has nothing to do with that. Okay, that's where you're going to lose credibility. If you do stuff like this, you're less likely to lose credibility. All right, because it's still relevant. All right, so that's one. Vagueness. Vague subject lines don't really give recipients a reason to open your email. So make sure to be clear and direct about what's inside of it. All right, so one famous one, for example, I don't really like the word quick questions. I know that people have had a lot of success with it, but it really doesn't tell your reader a whole lot. Okay, it is compelling because it's like, well, what's the quick question, right? But it is very vague, and I don't feel like it adds to the email at all. Okay, and I feel like every little bit of your email can add up. I want to let you know some bonus tips. I like to use all lowercase letters. Like it feels a little bit more personal. Now, if you're like very grammatically correct or your ideal customer profile are like English teachers or something like that, like of course, like read the room, right? So, but on the scale, in terms of BDB, I like using lowercase because it just looks a little bit more personal. Looks like we just kind of typed an email. Use Spintax. Okay, so Spintax is a tool in platforms like an Uptycs, right, like my software, where it can rotate words. So our platform has a crafty way of rotating between these. This is a small email deliverability thing that you can use. All right, seasonal subject lines is another tip. All right, so if it's a relevant holiday, let's say it's Christmas, you might want to say, instead of outreach issue, you might want to say outreach gift, okay, or present, or I don't know, Merry Christmas outreach or something. That's a stupid one. Don't use that. But you get the point. If it's a holiday, this can make it feel more timely and relevant. And in the world where automation is easy to automate with a tool like an Uptycs, then these relevant ones at least tell your prospect, like, hey, this is, they might have actually just sent this, right? Or obviously you wouldn't want to use a Christmas one in July, right? But at least it tells them, like, hey, somebody actually worked on this recently, and I'm not just in a totally automated thing. Every little bit adds up. Using emojis, they can make your subject line stand out, but use them sparingly, if at all. They can have some deliverability impacts, but a well-placed emoji can add some personality and catch the reader's eye. If it adds value to it in some sort of way, then try it, A/B test it. Don't let it be the end all be all, because again, it can impact deliverability. So don't overdo it. All right. And in some ICPs, you don't want to make it look unprofessional. All right. Here's how we can help you. So if you've gone through this training and you're curious how to implement this and you're in search of the best outbound tool on the face of the planet, I would just want to let you know how we can help you a little bit more. So Uptycs, my company, we can help you personalize your emails, use dynamic fields automatically with your subject lines. Okay, personalized emails, and we can help you. The AI can help you personalize your emails at scale and generate higher conversion rates, because the personalization has been shown, proven to improve conversion rates. So that's one way how we can help improve not just open rates and writing subject lines, but getting better results overall with your emails. Optimizing your subject lines. So we have insights into your whole email copy. We also have AI tools to help you write subject lines and write your whole copy. All right, we analyze the whole email and suggest improvements. We have A/B testing to perform A/B tests on all your subject lines. A through Z testing, actually. You could do this at scale, all right, by testing different variations. You can also, don't discount the fact that segmenting your lead list, all right, actually can be a very important key to improving your open rates with subject lines. So you can base your subject lines on the basis of things like their industry, their job title, engagement. We have a way to do this automatically inside of our software. So you can be more relevant with your prospects automatically without having to build 8,000 different lead lists and segmenting 50 leads here, 50 leads there. You could literally get a list of thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, and then you can distribute those leads amongst different paths, we call them. All right, and each path can have a slightly different angle at it. So we help you do that automatically. All right, and these targeted emails can be more relevant, meaning higher conversion rates. And then we have a host of email deliverability tools. I won't go through it. You can always check out our website. We have behavioral triggers if people are opening emails, stuff like that. Ensuring timely, relevant communication. You can follow up with them. All right. So that's another way. And then, of course, a whole bunch of analytics and reporting. So I won't go through everything of our software. In conclusion, remember that a great subject line is short, it's clear, it's personalized, and it's relevant. Try these tips in your next cold email campaign. Let me know how it goes in the comments. If you have any questions, comment below. If you got a lot of value from the training here, I'd love if you'd like it, share it. Again, comment below if you have any questions. I reply to every single comment, and I'd love if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you watching. If you found these helpful, then check out our software Uptycs. Right? It's designed to help you streamline your cold email campaigns, plus multi-channel, your sales CRM, basically your whole outbound sales in one place. And we do have a 14-day free trial. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this training. Hope you got a lot of value, and we'll see you on the next one.